This is your Armchair Detective, and today I'd like to tell you about the case of the Purloined painting. Jonathan Archdale had first learnt of the theft of his Vermeer when his butler, Johnson, in his usual unemotional manner, had come to him and said, "I'm sorry to have to tell you this, sir, but someone has purloined your painting." And now Mr. Archdale, in somewhat less restrained language, was telling Inspector Anand of his loss. The inspector listened carefully and then questioned Johnson. The butler explained how he had just been entering the upstairs library when Mr. Archdale's ward, Nancy, had come rushing out the door and told him the painting was missing. A few steps behind her was her fiancé, Ken Ward. They said they'd gone into the library just a moment before and discovered the theft. Inspector Anand briefly questioned the young couple and then asked to see the library. He was taken upstairs to the scene of the theft, having been assured that nothing had been touched. "It's pretty obvious what happened, Inspector," Ken Ward said, opening the library door and pointing to the table standing in the center of the room. "Whoever the blighter was, he must have made his escape by the window using that rope." The rope Ken Ward referred to was tied to the leg of the table and led directly to the open window. Well, it seemed pretty obvious that the thief had indeed made his exit via the window, clambering down the rope to the ground below, no doubt with the painting clutched under one arm. However, Inspector Anand simply gave the briefest of smiles and shook his head in disbelief. "I'm afraid you're wrong, Mr. Ward. The thief certainly never made his getaway through that window. In fact, I don't believe he made his getaway at all." Now, what on earth did Inspector Anand mean by this remarkable statement? Inspector Anand was right, of course. If the person who stole the valuable painting had made his escape down the rope, which was tied to the leg of the table, his weight on the rope would have dragged the table over against the window, not left it where it was in the center of the room. The real culprits were Ken Ward and Nancy, who decided to steal the Vermeer to raise enough money to get married. They'd been in the middle of removing the treasure when they'd heard Johnson, the butler, approaching. While Ken hid the painting behind some heavy drapes, Nancy hastily tied the rope to the table leg to make it look like an outside job, but she forgot that one important detail. Well, I'm happy to tell you that the painting was recovered, and Mr. Archdale was a happy man again. But the young lovers had to postpone their wedding for some considerable time, while they served a pretty stiff sentence for attempted robbery.